Hey, what's going on? It's good old shredded Sergey over here. Episode 5 of the Sound of Sergey podcast. I say shredded Sergey, and that's for one reason only. I'm a personal trainer now, apparently. One of my friends is going into the Marines, and out of all the people he knows, first thing, he's not in that bad of shape. He goes to, I don't know what he's going to, but he goes to a thing, and they tell him, dude, you're way out of shape. You can't enter the Marines, in this physical condition. Which is strange, because he's not that out of shape. He's pretty good. He's not, model material. But, he's not overweight. He's not underweight. He's pretty decent. But anyway, they're basically like, you can't get into the Marines in this state. So he comes to me, of all people, and he goes, hey, can you be my personal trainer? Because I don't know how to do any sort of exercising, like muscle gain, anything like that, dieting. He didn't know anything about it. So I'm like, all right, sure. And I put him on a diet, right? At least I suggest one. I don't know if he's following it. Probably not. But every morning we're going to the gym at 5:30. So I'm waking up at 3 in the morning to get ready and prepare. Because I'm doing my research. I'm not just going to, I'm not just pulling stuff out of my butt, dude. We're going out 5:30 in the morning every day. And I'm doing all this stuff with him. And when you train someone to go into the Marines, that's not light workouts. It's intense, going as far as you can possibly go every day. And I'm doing it along with them too. And then I'm actually staying longer and doing more stuff. So you combine all that, and I can barely move my arms today. But we've been doing it for a week so far. And I'm turning a good old shredded Sergey over here. The thing that sucks about trying to get in shape, though, is not that you can't miss out on food, because that's actually the easy part. Just have the discipline to say, no, I'm not gonna eat ice cream and cookies and Doritos. I'm gonna, when I get offered that, I'm gonna say no. If I see them at the store, I'm not gonna buy them. If I have them at the house, I'm not gonna touch them. You gotta have that discipline. That's actually the easy part. The hard part about dieting specifically is that you just look really lame. Because I went out with a couple of my friends to Penn Station today. Just came back an hour ago. We're all getting Philly cheesesteaks, but because I'm trying to get that six-pack, trying to get swole, I can't eat the bread, so I have to order a Philly cheesesteak and just take a fork and just bite into the meat and cheese, and that's it. By the way, I should have said this earlier. There's probably a bit more. If you notice more echo than there normally is on this episode, I'll give you the reason why. Because normally, I like a little bit of echo on a podcast, and I don't know, maybe that drives some people crazy. Maybe they're like, why is there so much echo on your podcast? It's I like a little bit. Not too much, but there's a sweet spot. Because I'll listen to podcasts where it's did you record this in a closet? This sounds very unnatural. It's you're doing a voiceover for a movie. It's come on, dude. So usually there's a little bit of echo. There might be a lot of echo in this one. I don't know. I guess I'll know when I edit it. But the reason is that we're actually painting. We moved all the furniture out of the living room, and I'm right next to the living room when I record these. I'm in my office. And I didn't realize how much echo there is when you take all the furniture out of a room and it's hardwood floor, all of that stuff. It echoes. I put a coffee cup, set it down in the kitchen that's 25 feet away, put it down softly, it echoes like it's a thunderstorm into the living room. So there might be some echo from that. Which, by the way, guess whose idea it was to paint the living room? The same person who tried to get me to watch that House Hunter show, like the Flipper Flop show that I talked about, like the very first episode. That's the kind of or not the second, something like that. Yeah, my sister just watched enough of those like Flipper Flop shows, like property whatever, and just like, yeah, I want to paint the living room blue. So I said that I would follow up on the Burkesville, Kentucky story this episode, and I will do that. So, just real quick recap. We get there, the boat doesn't work, the house is not in the best condition, which is a little bit of an understatement, but it's not very good. Boat doesn't work, we lose the key, we go kayaking. I go out and take photos, and I realize there's no business here. Everything's abandoned. And that's pretty much where we leave off. So, then that gets to Sunday. Sunday, my family's a religious family, so we always go to church. And they're always looking for the Church of Christ, which is like one of the smallest denominations there probably is ever. And they're like a very specific kind of Church of Christ people. So whenever we go on a vacation, the first thing they always have to do is find a church to go to on Sunday morning and Sunday night. There's no Sunday night service at this place. That's how small the town was. So we show up, and usually, even at small Church of Christ places, it's maybe like a ratio of like 20% people under 25, and then the rest is 25 and older. That's usually what it is at this church. First thing, there's maybe 20 people max. We walk in. By the way, my mom was so worried that they're gonna they don't care about coronavirus at all. They're not gonna take it seriously. We practically already have the virus now that we walk into the church. I'm like, Mom, calm down. No one's gonna die. So we walk in. Every single person is wearing a mask without exception. Not one person wasn't. But I also notice there is one person who is obviously under the age of 50. I don't know if anyone else was, but there was one person, actually two people who I know were like, yeah, they're less than 50 years old, besides us. One was like this chick who was like 4 rows in front of us. The other was like the song leader at the church, which, by the way, he looked suspiciously handsome in comparison to all the other people. It's like what you'd expect to see from like the middle of nowhere population 1400 town where, you know, like the hills have eyes sort of inbred community. That's what you see. Every single male in there was bald except for that song leader, who literally, like, not even compared to the other people in the church. He, like, if I saw him in like a fashion magazine, I'd be like, yeah, that makes sense. He deserves, like, his level of looks like, he was a 9 just anyway, and all the other people were 1s and 2s. And the chick that was 4 rows in front of us, she looked maybe like 25 or something. She looked to be that age. But I don't know, I guess she was younger because she fell asleep in about 5 minutes. During the songs. Usually people in church fall asleep during the sermon. This chick fell asleep during the songs. And Church of Christ, if you know anything about Church of Christ, everyone sings. Some churches, it's like they watch a choir sing. Churches of Christ, everyone sings. She falls asleep during that, and then wakes up in the middle of the sermon, goes back to sleep, and then on cue, when the invitation song comes up, she stands up like she was never asleep in the first place, like she was fully aware, stands up, sings the song, and it's like, what happened there? I was so confused. I was so confused. And every man in there that was not me and my family, every man and the song leader was bald and looked like at some point there had been some inbreeding. That's what all of them looked like. Anyway, that was Sunday. And after that, we go to the lake, have a good time. And, I watch some Law and Order. The original show, not SV. By the way, I don't know. I forget if I mentioned this. Yeah, I did. Yeah, never mind. I talked about Law and Order last episode. I won't bring it up again. Law and Order SVU is my new favorite dumb show. I've been watching it nonstop. I've been binge watching it. And I've never binge watched a show in my entire life. And despite that track record, I have decimated 3 seasons in about 5 days. So Monday, we leave, finally. We go to the lake one more time, and it's all well and good. We get back to the house, we pack up everything, and we go home, and on the way, we're gonna stop and get lunch. We stop through Louisville. Is it Louisville? I don't know. I think it might be Evansville, actually. We stop through some town, and we get lunch. My brother and sister get pizza from a place called Blaze Pizza. I get Panda Express, but I also get a pizza from Blaze for later. Not on the way, not there, but I'm going to take it home and eat it later. So I eat my Panda Express. By the way, honey walnut shrimp may be the best Chinese dish of all time. And I know it's not Chinese, but no one asked you, did they? Anyway, I eat that. They get their pizzas. I get mine. And I tell them I'm just going to have one bite just to see what it's like. And I bite into it. And what I didn't realize was Blaze Pizza is terrible. It's awful pizza. It's not good. The crust on Blaze Pizza is as thin as a tortilla. By the way, if you don't know me, I'm not from New York, but I grew up in New York for a good chunk of my life, like my upbringing. So I've got a lot of New Yorker in me. I love New York style pizza. For me, there's no other way to do it. And when someone brings in the thin crust, I tap out. I can't do it. There's nothing worse to me than a thin crust pizza. Like if I was on a first date with a girl and we're getting pizza for some reason. What a great first date food, by the way. Hey, you know what? Lady, you're lovely. You're wonderful. You're beautiful. You make me smile. You want to get some Little Caesars? No, but if I was on a first date and we go to a pizza place, I'm going to order New York style pizza if it's an option. Every time I'm going to get it like it's meant to be. If she gets thin crust pizza, I'm going to have to take a call, and coincidentally, I'm needed at work. There's not going to be a second date after that. I'm sorry. There's not going to be. I'll tell you what. I don't know what it was that reminded me of this, but I was thinking about friends I had in the past. And this wasn't too long ago. This was actually the semester before last. Not the semester where half of it was in school, half of it was online. the semester before that, during the fall and winter, I was in physics what on earth? Hold on. Alright. Sorry about that, y'all. What's an episode of The Sound of Sergey without a phone call interruption? I think that's happened every episode, if I'm not mistaken. But on the bright side, ladies and gentlemen, we have made podcast history in the history of the Sound of Sergey podcast. That was the first interruption via phone that I was actually happy about. All the other times, it's like someone texting me something dumb, or like something that it's like, really, can this wait? This was actually something good. It was a call from the lab, meaning the meth lab. No. It was a call from the film lab. I sent in some film to get processed. Actually, it was some film that I shot in Burkesville, Kentucky. So that was a call from them because some things got mixed up. So had to straighten that out. And they called me and said, all right, we've got everything under control. We're going to send it back to you. I'm like, thank you. So, first time it's ever been a good thing that happened. Anyway, what I was saying before was, I was thinking about, there were two dudes in my intro to physics class. Their names were Gavin and Brock. They were the funniest two dudes that I've probably not ever known. But they were the funniest two dudes I knew my junior year. Because here's what would... Maybe it's not funny to anyone else, but it's funny to me. Here's what would do... And I'm going to do my impression of Brock and Gavin. And if you know who these people are, you'll know that this is spot on. This is Brock talking to Gavin. Gotta get prepared. So, we gonna fishing today or what? Why? That's what they sounded like. Brock's actual voice was like, "So we going fishing today or what?" And Gavin sounded like a Southern Patrick Star. But then Brock would go on forever and Gavin would just reply with one word. And it's like when you try to text a girl you like and you talk to him, you send relatively normal length texts and she replies with yeah or lol. By the way, this is a word of advice from someone who has experience in that field. This is just what I do. If I'm talking to a girl and I'm interested in her, or even if I'm not interested in her, even if I'm just like talking just for the sake of, conversation, and I'm texting this person, this is just me naturally. Because I like to talk a lot. I mean, what do you think this podcast is for? So my texting reflects that. I have a lot to say in a text, or at the very least, I'll explain it in some detail to clarify things, because text may be one of the most inefficient and impractical forms of communication ever, but that's not the point. So I'll send relatively, not long, but they're enough to get the point across, you know what I mean? So I'll send that. If a female ever responds to that with a one-word answer more than once in the same, conversation, I just don't even talk to him. I don't even bother. It's not worth the time. I don't have enough time to waste on people who are gonna give me one-word answers. Maybe this is just a male-female thing. I really don't think it is, but maybe this is just a male-female thing. I don't know. But that's what I've noticed, is that no matter what you say, when a guy texts back, it's gonna be clear. It's gonna be, he's gonna do his best to, in his mind, make things clear and, so there's no mistake about it. Or at least he's going to try to do that. This is just from my experience. Females don't do that as much. I don't know. That's just what I've observed. Not saying that's better or worse. It's just what I've observed. And that's all I'm going to say. Because if I go any further, I'm going to go on a rant. And I don't want to do that. People have come to me and they be like, listen, I love the sound of Sergey. It's a great podcast. You talk about one thing for like 10 minutes. Let's not do that. And I listen to them. Because, you should do that. Anyway. This is... I maybe shouldn't say this. I'll say it. I just won't name names. In that same intro to physics class, what people probably don't know is that everyone wants me to tutor them. Because I'll get good grades on tests and I'll answer questions quickly and I'll participate in class. And so people look at me, they go, oh, he's smart. Which, by the way, no, I'm not. I'm really dumb. Well, at least if you listen to this podcast, you'd at the very least get that impression that I'm stupid. Like, if you listen to the sound of Sergey, you wouldn't be like, oh, that's a smart man. No, sir. But I participate in class, raise my hand, answer the question, try my best. So people, I'm not going to say dumb people, but people who are less academically inclined see that and go, oh, he's smart. So whenever they have a problem, they don't want to go to the teacher to ask. They want to go to me. And this has happened in every single class that is it's usually math or science, but every single class I'm in, I always get asked. I'm like, the teacher's here, right? He's there for a reason to answer your question. He's there to make you learn. I'm here just to smile and look nice and make people laugh every now and then. I'm not here to teach people. And if you're getting life lessons or math lessons from me, you might need to rethink your priorities. But I digress. So people look to me. They go, oh, he's smart. They ask me for help on homework, and I'll, help them with one question, 2 questions. That's fine with me. I don't mind that. Oh, my goodness. Interruption number 2. I'm not even going to look at that one. They look at me, and they look that I've helped them on their homework, and then people want me to tutor them. And that is one place that I will not go. I will not tutor anyone unless it's a girl and she's hot. No. That's a question. I really don't like the idea of tutoring someone. But if it was a really hot chick, what would I do? Because this has happened to me before. And at the time, I was so stupid I didn't realize it. There was this one girl, I won't say her name, but she's a cheerleader. And throughout, not only through middle school, but even into high school. So for the past 6 years, every time I have a class with her, she always comes to me specifically and asks me for help. And after every time, she's like, oh, Sergey, you're so smart. And by the way, she has the thickest southern accent I've ever heard in my life. You can barely understand what she's saying sometimes. She goes, oh, Sergey, you're so smart, and you're just so smart. And also, she this happens a lot. People compliment that I smell good. I don't know. That's just, hey, you look nice. Your hair is good. That's a good outfit. You're funny. Those make sense. You smell nice. I don't know. Maybe I'm sure it comes from a nice place and a good place. And I'm sure they mean it with the best intentions. But how do you respond to that? It's you smell nice. And it's thanks? I guess you say thanks, but it's every time that someone, this is probably something I need to work on, but every time someone compliments my smell, and it happens so much, it's probably the number 3 thing I get complimented on the most is, Sergey, you smell nice. I'm Thank you for noticing. But they always compliment me. And she did the same thing. She goes, Sergey, you're so smart. You smell nice. You're funny. And I haven't had a class with her in since sophomore year. But back then I was so stupid I didn't take the hint that was flirtation. So I was just like, oh, well, thank you. And I was just taking that as a normal compliment. That's how dumb I was as a 13, 14, 15-year-old boy. And I don't know, maybe this is just my opinion. But I got too much to do. I ain't got time for games. I mean, if I have, I'm all for it, but sometimes you just want someone to be clear. Sometimes you just want someone to come up to you and be like, hey, I'm India. What do you want to do about it? And you know what? The times that's happened is the times I've been happiest in those relationships is when the girl just comes up and just says straight out, I'm into you. I don't know if you're into me, but what are we going to do? And those are the times when it is not only easiest to say yes, but easiest to say there's no drama when you just come out and be honest. But when you play games, when you're this is one thing I hear all the time, and I used to believe it. I don't believe it at all anymore. And if there's any guys in the room listening to this, don't fall for it, because she's lying when she says this. If you're in talks with a girl, if you're at that stage where you're just talking, you're not official, and you're just, you're laying the groundwork. If you're in that stage, and she has recently or in the past broken up with someone, or has had her heart broken in the past, first thing, that's a time to be sensitive, tread into there carefully, but also, here's what I want to tell you. Listen to my advice, please, because no one knows this, and guys need to be aware. If you're talking to a girl, and she's single, and she says, I just need a break from guys. I'm done with guys. I'm not looking for a relationship right now. If she says that, she is lying. I'm sorry. And the females listening to this podcast will 100% agree with me. That is never true. In my entire life, I've heard that a lot of times. Sometimes when I've been talking to them because I'm interested in them. Sometimes because I'm just friends with them. Sometimes because, just making conversation. 100% of the time that a female tells a male, I'm not looking for a relationship, or I just need a break from guys, I just need time to myself, I just need any time that is said, that is 100% a lie, guaranteed. And why they say that, why someone will say that, I don't know, depends. That depends on them. But that's just Sergey speaks. Sergey's word of advice to all the guys who are confused. If a girl tells you that, just don't buy it. I mean, don't call them. Don't be like, well, that's a lie. Don't say that. It is a lie, but don't say it. Just know that they're not being truthful. You know what? You want to know what the really funny thing about that is? Every single time that a girl has told me that they're not looking for a relationship, they immediately start dating someone else within 2 weeks. So much so that if I was if there was betting, if there was gambling on that situation, if I was looking at it third person from afar, and they're like, Mr. Ivanov, would you like to hedge your bets on the fact that after she says this, she's gonna get with another guy in about 2 weeks? If I was homeless and only had $1,000 left in my pocket for my entire life, I would bet that $1,000 that she is definitely gonna start dating someone else very soon. I don't know. That's just my experience. What do I know? I'm just a stupid Russian. I'm an immigrant. I'm dumb. I'm in America. I'm an immigrant. I was born in Russia. What do I know? Nothing, apparently. Anyway, this podcast is long enough. Thank you so much for listening to The Sound of Sergey, Episode 5, Glass in the Bed, Part 2. Thank you so much. I love it when people, DM me and they're like, I love the podcast. It was funny. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed listening to you. I love that so much. That makes my day like nothing else in the world. Thank you so much for supporting this podcast. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to listen to The Sound of Sergey. And I will see you next week with episode 6. See ya.